So welcome everybody. This is episode 1 of Tony and the Bald Guy show. So I actually wanted to name this Two Idiots and a Microphone, but apparently that is already taken.
Really?
Yes.
Somebody actually wanted to call themselves Two Idiots and a Microphone.
Well, I wanted to call us Two Idiots and a Microphone. So
Why? We're Tony and the Bald Guy. It's kind of like Jake and the Fat Man.
Well, if you can't figure out which one's Tony and the Bald Guy, then you probably shouldn't be leaving your house at all, which you probably can't leave your house right now anyways, so that's fine. For those of you who have seen us before, we actually did about 50 episodes of the Sunscreen Film Festival podcast for a little while. So this is non-affiliated with any film festival organizations or anything like that. This is just Tony and the Bald Guy talking nonsense about movies and whatever comes into our mind, basically. Now, if you don't know, superhero here, otherwise known as the Bald Guy, is the, I guess we call him the star, the subject of an award-winning documentary that I put together back in 2018. I had a good run of film festivals 2018, 2019, and I will link at the end of this video, that video, which is on my YouTube channel here, so you can see that award-winning documentary portrait of a superhero. But I know the reason that you've tuned in here today is actually because we are discussing the top 10 sci-fi movies that millennials and younger have never seen.
Right. You don't know how many times you bring up an old movie reference or something like that, and it's like they're just clueless.
Well,
and you want to strangle them.
And I should say,
because it's like, how could you not know what this is?
Now, if you are a millennial or younger and you have seen these movies, give yourself a point for every one that you've seen before we tell you. So if you can get 10 points for all 10 of the movies here,
you won't get a reward. But I'll tell you, if you come to AutoNation Chevrolet in South Clearwater, I've got 0% financing for 80 months and 4 months deferred payments for you, so that'll be your reward.
As you may have now guessed, the Bald Guy here is selling cars now as well. Yeah. He's not just a full-time superhero.
Well, most people I say, well, I'm a car salesman now. They're like, wow, I never saw that coming.
Well, and so we're comfortably dressed for our show here, shooting from home.
You're comfortably dressed.
I'm comfortably dressed. You're a little warm. We are in Florida. We are shooting this in Florida, and it is, I think, 88 or 89 degrees today. So that's why we're inside doing the show here. Besides that, we're not supposed to leave the house anyways. I don't know if this is quite 6 feet, but
well, I'm a sandman.
Sue us.
I'm out there corralling people, making sure they don't leave the home.
There you go.
Yeah, right,
well, hey, let's jump right into it. So, Battle Beyond the Stars. So, for those of you who may not have seen Battle Beyond the Stars, this is a 1980 film that basically is trying to capitalize on the Star Wars phenomena after Star Wars came out.
Yeah, it's Star Wars meets the Magnificent Seven meets the Seven Samurai.
Yeah.
If you ask me.
Yeah.
Because Richard Thomas, the actor, we would know him as John Boy Walton.
Yes,
everybody
from
knew,
the Waltons.
Right, back in the 70s. It's a wholesome TV show long before any of your time. He goes around the galaxy and he rounds up all these hired killers and mercenaries and people from warrior races. And I think there actually is 7 of them, isn't there?
I think so.
And they come back to his planet. There he is. And they come back to his planet to save his planet from this conquering army that's led by a very famous actor from back then named John Saxon.
And basically everybody has copied Akira Kurosawa's The Seven Samurai numerous times. If you watched the new Mandalorian TV show, there is an episode, I think episode 4 of that is essentially The Seven Samurai as well.
There's George Papard. They might remember the A-Team.
Maybe.
But he was a big actor back then. Things like the Blue Max and Breakfast at Tiffany's. That's a lot of millennials know those kind of movies, like Breakfast. They like Audrey Hepburn.
Yes.
And stuff.
Who
so they might
like
know
Audrey
who
Hepburn?
he is.
Yeah.
And there was Marta Kristen right next to him from Lost in Space, the TV show.
Yeah, and it's funny if you look at this, the special effects look very similar to Star Wars. I believe because John Dykstra, who originally did the special effects for
Robert Vaughn.
Yes.
Love Robert Vaughn. He was the James Bond of TV.
Yeah,
he was the man from Uncle.
Absolutely. Yep. Which we will eventually get into some TV episodes as well. But number 10 on our list. I mean, it's fun. You know, again, a lot of these films, you're going to see the special effects, and of course they're not what you would think of as today's special effects wise. But you're not paying attention to the effects. You're paying attention to this for the story and the fun factor.
That's what pisses me off a lot. about, because I call everything nowadays a laptop epic.
Yeah.
You know, nowadays they make movies for 13-year-olds in China.
Yeah.
And, oh, well, this looks cheesy. No, this was actually made. People actually worked on this. There were model builders and explosive guys and pyrotechnic guys and things like that. And those are the type, you know, to me, it just looks more solid.
Yeah, because you had models and proper physical effects as opposed to everything being CGI.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So here we are. That was number 10, Battle Beyond the Stars. You might notice a little jump cut right there because we had a little camera malfunction. The camera just stopped recording. So now we're on dual cameras.
Right.
And hoping that this camera keeps going, and if not, we've got our second camera. So if you see a change in camera angles and a change in audio, you'll know why
Get my good side.
As we go throughout this thing. Right. But coming in at number 9 here, Enemy Mine.
Enemy Mine.
Top 10 sci-fi films that millennials have never seen.
I've been trying to think of something that kids nowadays would recognize Louis Gossett Jr. from. But he's an incredible actor, and this is a great story about passion among enemies. I'd take a story about passion among enemies over a romance any day of the week. Like a movie like Point Break or Apt Pupil.
And of course the original Point Break, not...
Right, exactly. And these two guys are on opposite sides of a war, and they crash together on a planet, and they have to put their differences aside in order to survive. And they start out hating each other's guts, and they figure out that they're really not that different.
And most sci-fi has some sort of social theme to it. For the most part, sci-fi isn't just sci-fi for the sake of being cool and in outer space or having fantastic things happening. There's some sort of social commentary that's happening with it. And this, like others, is, you know, kind of what's the point of war? You know, we're all the same guy. We're the same people.
We're the same people.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's actually based on a World War II era movie. Well, it happened in World War II, not made and called Enemy Mine, where Lee Marvin and Toshiro Mifune are two fighter pilots trapped on an island.
Yeah.
And this is a remake of that. But good story and a good message.
And you're going to find that most sci-fi films, if it's not a remake of something else, it's a retelling of a story that's been told a number of times already.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
And
absolutely.
By the way...
like we said, Battle Beyond the Stars was Seven Samurai and Magnificent Seven.
Yeah.
Yeah, they just retold it.
And we're going to introduce Tribble here. Tribble is the set dog. And she's now decided to join. I don't know if she has anything to say about the films we're watching. Probably not.
Set dog.
Hashtag set dog. But Tribble, for those of you who may or may not know, named after Star Trek. Star Trek critters. Yep. So Last Starfighter coming in here.
This was every little boy's dream in the 80s. Nowadays, the good computer games are at home, and the bad ones were in the arcade, like or are in the arcade, like at Chuck E. Cheese.
If there are any arcades left.
Right, well, Chuck E. Cheese and that kind of thing. Yeah. But the good video games like Red Dead Redemption or whatever is at home. Back when we were kids, the crappy video games were at home and the good ones were in the arcades. And what this basically is a story about a kid. These aliens put a video game on Earth, and this kid is the best at it, so they take him up into space to fight their war for them. Because arcades were everything.
What little kid does not want to be playing a video game and be like, you're the best ever at that video game, we're going to take you to space, let you fly our spaceships, be like, hell yeah!
Yeah, exactly.
So it's like you had said before, Ready Player One. Ready Player One is essentially a sort of retelling of The Last Starfighter.
If you liked Ready Player One, you'll like this. Yeah, and very well done movie. I think I mentioned too that this is actually based on kind of a true thing, because the CIA had a video game, supposedly, that people have seen.
Conspiracy theory.
Right. Well, and it's been mentioned in The Simpsons and a few other times in pop culture, where they were running experiments on people with this video game. We'll find the name of it and put it down here for you.
Yes.
But so it kind of has some really based roots too. But yeah, every little boy's dream, become a superhero, be the best at a video game, and instead of being a dork, be a hero.
It's Starfighter.
And here he comes, and the girl loves him now.
I mean, when you land in a spaceship and come home...
And all because of a video game.
There's the hot chick, and she's like, hello, big kiss at the end of the movie, because he was good at video games.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
So you've also got to remember that now nerd culture is cool nowadays.
Not then.
Back, us Gen Xers.
You got beat up for this in school. Believe me.
If you were a kid in the 80s and you were a nerd, it was not cool.
Right. I was not always a big bald guy. You got beat up a lot back then.
Do you think this guy was going to get beat up?
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
All right, coming in next on our top 10 films that millennials and younger have never seen, probably. If you have, then you're doing better than most. Yeah. Flash Gordon. I mean, come on.
Okay. It's a live-action comic book.
Flash Gordon. All you got to say, soundtrack by Queen.
Right.
Mic drop right there.
Now,
that's
they
all
all know who Queen is from the Freddie Mercury movie.
Of course. Great film.
Yeah, that just came out. They all know who Queen is. Queen did the soundtrack to this. Max von Sydow, is that how it's pronounced? Who just passed away. You'd know him. He was the preacher in The Exorcist. I know a lot of millennials and Gen Zers have seen The Exorcist, so they'd recognize him from that.
And of course, Sam Jones as Flash Gordon, that most millennials now are going to know from the TED Talking Teddy Bear films, where Mark Wahlberg has Sam Jones come in because of Flash Gordon. So you may be familiar with this film because you've seen it pop culturally being mentioned in TED and on Family Guy and some other things like that. But if you haven't seen the film, which we're assuming you probably haven't, you got to go see Flash Gordon.
And cinematically, it's beautiful, very colorful, and everything's neon, and very, very well done to see. Yeah, Sam Jones, he kind of got typecast by this, but in this movie he's supposed to be a quarterback for the New York Jets, which he actually was. I remember.
Quarterback, or he just played for the Jets in some capacity? We'll
figure
it out. We'll throw
that out. But I know he played for the Jets.
Right.
And
I mean, Flying Hawk guys, come on.
Yeah. Well, that's also another thing. They got real action guys to play the action heroes back then.
Yes.
They weren't just actors. They went looking for boxers.
Oh, and we forgot about the guy who plays Prince Baron, of course.
Is James Bond.
Is
Timothy
James
Dalton.
Bond, Timothy Dalton.
Now, he's big for something now, too, that they would recognize him from. He just had a big resurgence.
Yeah, he's done a few things. I'm blanking on it. I know... Well,
but
you're giving me a lot of editing work.
I'm sorry.
Keep doing this.
I'm sorry.
But now, Charlton Heston, 1971, The Omega Man.
The Omega Man. Now, we discussed this. I'm pretty sure the book is called I, Immortal, not just the Will Smith movie.
Yes.
And I, Immortal, have you seen the Will Smith movie?
I'm going to look it up right now.
There were 2 renditions of I, Immortal before the movie I, Immortal. The first one being
Last Man on Earth
with Vincent Price, and then this one with Charlton Heston, who is one of the most stoic, incredible actors who ever lived. He's played Moses. He's played numerous Bible characters. He's played...
My dog just sneezed on me. Tribble, do you have coronavirus?
Yeah, but incredible actor, incredible acting. And one thing that this film is known for, too, it's a milestone because it has one of the first interracial relationships in motion picture history. He has they'll show her here in a minute, the woman who ends up becoming his girlfriend. But yeah, he's the last man on Earth, and everyone else has this disease that has made them into mutants, kind of like the Will Smith version. But this is a version from, there she is, Rosalind Cash.
And I don't know, I'm blanking on it's too much. Will Smith's filmography is forever long. I'm forgetting the name of the movie. Yeah. But Will Smith basically plays the last man on Earth, the same as Charlton Heston and Vincent Price before him. That was the third iteration of the film.
Right. And Charlton Heston, of course, greatest actor who ever lived. Maybe one of the greatest actors,
Kind of a bad rap after, as he got older. being a very much a gun advocate, president of the NRA.
Right.
But back in the day, well known as one of the best actors of
absolutely,
of his time.
Absolutely,
and a star.
He was the Harrison Ford of his day.
Yeah,
that'd be the best way.
That's a great analogy.
Right. Top dollar, biggest
comparison.
box office draw in America. The fact that he would do science fiction like this and Planet of the Apes says a lot about him. Because nowadays everyone wants to be a superhero. Everyone wants to be in the Marvel movies. Not back then. It was a career killer. If you did, Lloyd Bridges turned down Battlestar Galactica because he said Star Trek, pardon me. He did Battlestar Galactica as an apology for turning down Star Trek.
Yeah.
Because he said, sorry, I see science fiction, it just doesn't work. And back then it was a career killer. So for Charlton Heston to do this took serious balls.
Yeah.
This and Planet of the Apes both.
And it means, the scripts and the stories were good. And like we said, there's social commentary.
Right.
So, Fantastic Voyage, coming in next on our list here. So, Fantastic Voyage, amazing film, 1966. And basically, a group of scientists are shrunken down and injected into the human body. So, it's outer space, inside
Inner Space. It's a story of inner space.
Yes.
One of my favorite actors of all time, Donald Pleasance, not just because he's bald, but because he's an incredible actor. He was a Bond villain more than a few times.
Yeah, Blofeld.
Yeah. Oh! They'd recognize him from all the Mike Myers movies.
He is the basis for Dr. Evil.
Yeah, he's the basis from Dr. Evil, but he's also the psychiatrist in all the Mike Myers movies, all the Halloween movies.
In the Halloween film, Mike Myers.
Right.
Not
Mike Myers as Austin Powers.
As Austin Powers.
Right. He's the doctor that's always trying. He doesn't want to kill Mike. He just wants to get Mike back to the hospital.
Right.
Right.
Yeah,
although he did end up shooting Mike a couple of times, if I remember.
I've lost track of how many Halloween films there were. There's been a lot.
Yeah, I remember a couple of times he shot Mike. He finally said, I've had enough of Mike. Pow, pow, pow! Or basically he would say, I've had enough of Mike. And with that voice of his, that haunting gravel that he had.
Yeah. But this, again, Fantastic Voyage, a fun film because as they are inside the human body is attacking them. White blood cells, all the different defense mechanisms that the human body has.
It's fun to watch them attack Raquel Welch in that.
Yeah.
Oh my God, what a body. And she still looks like that even today.
Yeah, she's what?
Beautiful
80
woman.
or something like that.
Yeah.
If not older.
Yeah, hasn't aged a day.
But, and again, so you're going to see a lot of special effects in these films that are not, what you consider great special effects today, but at the time were cutting edge. It was a lot of practical effects.
Yes, see, like going through the membrane here.
Yeah.
They had to save this guy, if I remember correctly, because he had some kind of nuclear secret that they needed. I can't remember the exact storyline.
Yeah, you don't shrink down a bunch of people, inject them into the human body just to save anyone.
Right.
You got to find somebody really worth saving.
They come to you and say, Tony, I'm sorry, the bald guy's dead. We're not shrinking people down to stick them inside the bald guy. If we want a bunch of useless, trivial knowledge, we can get it off of Google. We don't need the bald guy.
We don't need the bald guy anymore.
Yeah, sorry, the bald guy's gone.
We're done with him.
Right.
We're not spending $1 billion to save this bald guy.
Yeah. And that 2 years in the making, if I remember correctly, it took them 2 years to build the sets. Just before they even started filming.
Yeah. And nowadays it would have just been all green screen. They just green it up, get in there, and then you spend 2 years building it in CGI. So what's the difference? I'd rather have practical sets. It's a lot more fun. A lot better for the actors too. They get a chance to actually interact with something instead of a tennis ball.
It's very hard. A matter of fact, I've heard actors say that George Lucas is the hardest director to work with because he'll put him in a green cube. Sometimes they don't even have a lightsaber or something and say, do this. And they say, well, what's my motivation? And he's like, I don't care, just do it.
So coming up next on our list.
Yeah, you can tell George Lucas is high on my list of,
Absolutely. INNERSPACE. So INNERSPACE, essentially, not quite, but a little bit of a remake, a retelling of Fantastic Voyage.
Yeah, with
Dennis
the very
Quaid.
handsome Dennis Quaid from Enemy Mine.
And the not very handsome Martin Short.
Larry David.
Yes.
That's who they know Martin Short as nowadays, is Larry David. It's a lot of makeup, so you can't tell it's Martin Short, but he's the guy that goes, "It's very, very, very good." Yeah, that's him.
And basically, Dennis Quaid gets shrank and accidentally injected into Martin Short's ass.
Right.
And so he ends up then being able to control Martin Short's body.
Right. And it's hilarious because Dennis Quaid is this big, strapping super guy, and he's stuck inside Martin Short trying to get him, punch him, kick him, go here, do this, trying to get him to do all the footwork for him.
It's a fun movie. It's a lot of fun. It's a very, it's got that
Meg Ryan
buddy comedy, action buddy comedy, 80s sci-fi action buddy comedy. A lot of fun. So if you haven't seen INNERSPACE, put it on your list. You get the comedy stylings of Martin Short, Saturday Night Live vet.
Robert Picardo is in it too.
Yeah.
Very famous actor. He played the holographic doctor in Star Trek Voyager.
Oh yes, of course.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And numerous other things. Yeah.
Absolutely. And now, another great one here coming up on the list.
Paramount, watch it! Wait, they're CW nowadays, aren't they?
No, Paramount's still Paramount.
Oh, okay, I worked for them when it was UPN.
They're owned by CBS, which is owned by Viacom, and
Right. I worked for them when they were UPN.
Yes, so UPS, when UPN, before UPN was kind of CW, essentially, is what?
If you're a filmmaker, one of the most cinematically beautiful movies ever made. To give you an idea, Star Wars was made for about $8 million and it looks good. Logan's Run was made for $11 million and it looks better. This was made for $44 million in 1979 money.
Yeah.
Maybe you can, I hate giving you editing jobs, but adjust that and show them how much money that is nowadays.
Yeah, an amazing amount of money that they spent for Star Trek The Motion Picture.
Right.
And it's a gorgeous film.
Gorgeous
cinematography,
movie.
Spectacular.
Everyone always says Wrath of Khan, and Wrath of Khan is the truer Star Trek story.
Yeah.
But just for cinematic, I mean, look at that.
Yeah, and
it's just gorgeous.
And Wrath of Khan, of course, my favorite of the Star Trek films.
Right.
But there's no question,
Well, the reason for that is most people tend to think is because Robert Wise, who directed Day the Earth Stood Still, directed this one. And he was a film director. Star Trek is not film. And when they got Harve Bennett, who was a TV producer director.
From the original Star Trek.
Right, who also did the $6 Million Man and the Bionic Woman and things like that, he understood the pacing of Star Trek. And that's why Wrath of Khan moves so much faster and is so much better. But it's not nearly as gorgeous as this movie. As a matter of fact, this movie is so slow. It plods along with the pacing and everything like that. It's why they killed Mr. Spock off in the second movie, because Leonard Nimoy said he never wanted to do another one after this one was done.
And then, of course, after Star Trek 2, he was like, oh, okay.
Give me an out. Give me an out. And Harve Bennett said, okay, we'll throw a shot of the torpedo laying in some jungle somewhere.
Yeah.
And that's how he got his out.
Of course. And so now one of my favorites here, coming in at number 2, is H.G. Wells' Time Machine from 1960 with Rod Taylor. Really a great, great film. One of the things that again, it's H.G. Wells, and if you're not familiar with H.G. Wells, one, go read a book once in a while. Don't just watch TV or watch YouTube like you are right now.
Big H.G. Wells guy.
Yeah. H.G. Wells really had some amazing stories, and again, sci-fi being a way to tell social stories. Mm-hmm. It's about class differences.
Right. It's a class story. Like a lot of the kids nowadays, they vote for Bernie Sanders and everything, and because they're unhappy with the way the social hierarchy works in America. Well, you have an upper crust called the Eloi that enjoy all the benefits of society and everything, and you have a lower class called the Morlocks, which run all the machines and keep everything going and everything like that. He goes into the future and discovers this, and the Morlocks eventually get pissed off about it. But I can't tell you any more without giving you any spoilers.
You gotta watch the movie.
But it's a social commentary about class struggle. class struggle, which is a popular topic nowadays.
Of course, and
Yvette Mimo, beautiful.
And of course, the Morlocks, if you're an X-Men fan, the Morlocks, the characters of the Morlocks in the X-Men comics are named after Morlocks in H.G. Wells.
Mm-hmm. She is also sci-fi famous for the Black Hole.
Oh, the Black Hole. Now, the Black Hole...
Which is an incredible
The Black
movie.
Hole we really should have had on this list as well.
Yeah.
But we thought that maybe because
it's a footnote.
Because that's a Disney film that maybe you millennials have seen it, but if you haven't...
It'll be on Disney Plus, I'm sure.
It should be. So, we call it 10A or 8A or we'll slide it in there. The Black Hole is
Throw the Black Hole onto your little list that you're
Black...
making on your phone right now of these films. Throw the Black Hole on there.
Yeah, Black Hole is definitely one that you should see, and it was kind of this period of time in Disney when Disney was trying to go a little dark to a certain extent. And again, that was late 70s, early 80s when Black Hole came out.
1980.
1980, right at 1980. So, but again, H.G. Wells' Time Machine, one of my favorites. They did a remake of this in 2000 that was pretty much a turd.
There was a TV version of it too, a made-for-TV done in the 70s that was quite good.
Oh, really?
That was quite good. Yeah, made for. I think it was on NBC. Yeah. NBC Monday Night at the Movies. Remember that?
Yes, of course.
Uh-oh.
Coming in number 1 on the list.
Logan's Run. Logan's Run originally started out as a short story by William F. Nolan in 1968, the year I was born. It's another social commentary about what was big back then, which was youth culture. Back then the expression was don't trust anybody over 30.
Right.
And what happens in Logan's Run is you live in this complete utopia of a society, but the crime is turning 30. You cannot live past your 30th birthday.
Well, I'd have been done a while ago.
Me too. Me too. That's why you see all these old Sandmen at conventions, because we're the only guys that remember Logan's Run.
Yeah.
But you go onto this carousel, which you saw the people flying around in. Renew, and it's like Buddhism. But if you choose not to, the Sandmen, which are basically like the Waffen-SS that control the city, hunt you down. They're not playing around. You either go into carousel, or these guys come and hunt you down, and you're gone. Anyway,
and one of the things you had mentioned before is this is 1976, very much the free love era. But we talked about the first interracial relationships in film and television. Don't forget, this
has one of the first showings of homosexual. Relationships. Logan has Tinder in his house, and you bring the people right there. And one of the first people he brings...
Kind of like a Star Trek teleporter with Tinder combined.
Right.
Mash those up.
And he brings a man into the house, and the man sees Logan, which of course is Michael York, one of the most handsome men who ever lived, and goes, wow. And Michael goes, I don't know about that, and sends him off and gets Jenny Agutter instead, who was an icon back then for films like Walkabout and things like that. MGM threw money at this, and it made a tremendous amount of money. It was shot in the mall that Kennedy was going to watch a fashion show when he was assassinated.
Really? This was shot in Dallas?
The Dallas Market Center.
I did not know this was shot in Dallas.
Yep. A lot of younger people, I say you'll probably recognize Michael York, because everybody who I show this film to says, oh my God, it's Basil. Look at how young he is. Austin Powers'
Austin Powers, of course,
Yeah. Austin, that's my mother. Yeah, that's Basil.
Yes.
But science fiction classic, great storyline.
Yeah, so if you have not seen Logan's Run, that's, number 1 on the list for films that millennials have not seen, but that they should have seen.
Yes.
All right. I can figure out how to work my...
So they're showing them selected scenes about Logan's Run while we're still talking about it.
There we go. Back to the screen we're looking.
Yeah. It's a commentary about not having blind faith in things, like
whether it's government or religion.
Right. Logan figures out that Carousel was a lie, and that nobody renews. But he's got another Sandman chasing him named Francis, who can't accept the fact that it's a lie. And Francis is willing to kill Logan in order to uphold his belief.
And it's that classic,
like a suicide bomber.
It's that classic trope you see in many films. If your film starts out and it's like the two guys that are really good friends, well, you know the one guy is going to betray the other guy later on, or he's going to have to hunt him down, or something like that. I mean, you know, you see that all the time in films now.
Right, exactly.
And I don't know if this maybe was one of the first ones to kind of.
I would say that it's kind of like the Brutus and Caesar thing.
Yeah,
that's been explored a lot. That could be an equate to that.
Yeah, I mean it's common storytelling tropes, not just in film, but obviously in literature and in real life too. You know, many times it happens. Well, hey, thank you for checking out this episode of Tony and the Bald Guy. Again, if you can think of a better title that we like, let us know. We're happy to change the title of the show.
I like Tony and the Bald Guy. What's wrong with Tony and the Bald Guy?
I think it works.
Reminds me of Jake and the Fat Man.
Jake and the Fat Man?
Yeah, William Campbell is Jake and the Fat Man.
Which
a
actually,
Wink Martindale production.
Jake and the Fat Man's a great name for a TV show.
Yeah.
I mean, really, that really is.
Yeah.
So if you like the episode, subscribe to the channel, hit the like button here. We're going to throw some links at the end in here. Keep your eyes out for our next episode. It'll be another top 10 something that millennials have never seen. And we're just going to throw a bunch of crap on the wall here and see if you guys watch it, basically. Tell us what you like, tell us what you don't like, and we'll see you next time. We have an outro. We got an outro. What's the outro?
I liked the theme to, what was it, At the Movies. Our
tagline. What's our tag?
Tagline.
Tag going out.
Watch it. Watch this. Watch what we do. What we say. How about that?
Stay classy, San Diego. No, that's
right. I'm a Sandman. I can have any woman in the city. How about that? You know, I said that to my wife. She didn't care for that one single bit. Yeah.
And we're out.